The man who attacked this child and left her for dead is now free, and knowing every single detail of what he did, I genuinely cannot understand why or how. So it's April 27, 2006, and 17-year-old Ashley woke up that morning in Belleville, Illinois, got herself ready, and told her parents that she had a job interview at a shoe store and then basketball plans afterwards. And before she left, she promised her parents that she would be home before 10 p.m. curfew. So they stood in the doorway and watched her as she drove her boyfriend's SUV out of the driveway and onto the street. But what her parents didn't know was that Ashley wasn't going to any interview and she wasn't going to play basketball. She was actually driving to Latterman Park to meet up with her teacher, Sam Shelton. The two of them had been secretly seeing each other, and the relationship between them was the kind that a 26-year-old man should never, under any circumstances, have with one of his students. Ashley had been keeping this secret for about 2 months, and by the morning of April 27th, the weight of it just became too much to keep carrying. Because every single day she was lying to her friends, her parents, her boyfriend, and then walking into Sam's classroom and pretending that she barely knew him. And so Ashley had made up in her mind before she even left the house that morning she was going to go to Latterman Park to end the relationship. She pulled into the park, got into Sam's car, and they drove together to a secluded area. And as they were driving, Ashley kept rehearsing in her head exactly what she was going to say. She was extremely nervous, but after a while she took a long, deep breath and told him that she wanted out of the relationship, that she had already made up her mind. Now, Sam is 26 years old and is quite literally committing a crime just by being with this girl. So you would naturally expect him to take this as a relief. But he did not take it well. He started screaming at her, and we don't know exactly what he said, but whatever came out of his mouth was enough to make Ashley realize that she was trapped in a car in the middle of nowhere, miles from anyone who could help her, with a grown man who had just become someone she was afraid of. Sam at some point angrily slammed the car into park and started pounding on the steering wheel, screaming at Ashley, saying, "Get out! Get out!" And Ashley is looking out of the window, but all she saw was nothing but trees in every direction. So if she hops out, she would literally be stranded out in the middle of the woods. So she told Sam no, that she wasn't hopping out of the car. But Sam wasn't going to take no for an answer. So he got out of the car, walked around to Ashley's side, yanked her door open, and then grabbed her and hauled her body out of the seat. And as Ashley sort of tried to push back and stop him, he wrapped his arms around her neck from behind and locked it into a chokehold. And he started dragging her away from the car. And as he kept squeezing and squeezing her neck for minutes, Sam felt this loud crack sound, and then Ashley's body went completely limp in his arms. And he's staring at Ashley like, "Ashley? Ashley!" But she wasn't responding, and that's when he realized that the crack that he heard was him breaking her neck. Do you know how much force is required for you to do that? That is actually insane. And this is the moment that tells you exactly who Sam Shelton is. Because when you hurt someone, even by accident, any decent person would call for help. But as Sam stood over her body, he kind of realized that if he did call for help, if cops came here, not only would he go to jail for what he had just done, but he would also have to explain why he's in the middle of the woods with a 17-year-old girl. So instead, Sam drove Ashley to another nearby park. He carried her unconscious body out into the woods and laid her face down on the ground. Then he took off his belt, wrapped it around her neck, and started pulling. And he pulled so hard for so long that his belt broke in half and Ashley started changing colors. And the only reason he did this was because he wanted it to look like Ashley was taken and attacked here in the woods by some stranger. So after basically setting up his own crime scene, Sam just got up and left like nothing happened. And a few hours later, at the end of that same night, Sam decided to end his amazing day by going line dancing at his usual club spot. I'm sorry, it's just all I could think about is how he left Ashley in those woods all alone in the dark. Meanwhile, he's out here dancing, living his best life. I genuinely cannot hold those two images in my head at the same time. Like, they shouldn't even exist, and yet they do. Meanwhile, Ashley's parents at home have had no idea where their daughter is. And when 10 o'clock came and went that night without the door opening or the phone ringing, her mom, Michelle, immediately knew that something was very wrong. So Michelle trusted her gut, and she called the police that same night and found Ashley as missing. Investigators started searching right away, and after a few hours, they found Ashley's boyfriend's car sitting at Latterman Park. And inside the car, they found her job interview outfit and her basketball clothes. and both of them were completely unworn. And so by this point, investigators understood that the entire story Ashley told her parents that morning had been a cover, and whoever she planned to meet at that park was very likely the person who had taken her. So Michelle decided to go through Ashley's phone records looking for anything that might help, and she kept seeing the same number coming up over and over again, more than the other phone numbers in the phone. And when she looked it up, it turned out that it was Sam Shelton's number. So she called him, but Sam told her that he hadn't heard from Ashley all day and then he just hung up. And investigators found that really suspicious, enough to bring Sam in for questioning. And over the next 12 hours, Sam worked his way through version after version of the same story. It was honestly kind of depressing. Like, Buddy couldn't even give one good lie. First, they were just friends. And then it was, okay, we're more than friends. And then, okay, yes, we were intimate. And yes, I was with her that day, but I swear I dropped her off by the side of the road. She was standing right there, totally fine, I swear. He just kept lying until eventually one of the detectives leaned forward and said to him, if I went to your grandmother right now and told her everything you've said tonight, what is she going to say? And Sam, when he heard that, just broke down sobbing and crying. And to my surprise, afterwards, he decided to tell them everything. And at around 2 in the morning on April 29, which means that Ashley has been in those woods completely alone for almost 30 hours, Sam leads investigators to Citizens Park in the dark and rain. And as they were walking, Sam just kept telling them, you're going to find her body here. I don't even know how I left her. And so they kept pushing through the muds, through the trees, through all of the bugs, following Sam to the spot. And when they got there, they found her with her arms folded in across her chest in a folded position. Ashley was drenched in water from hours in the rain, and she was covered in thousands of bug bites. And every single person standing in those woods was thinking the same thing. We're too late. One officer stepped away to call the coroner, and while he was on the phone, another officer was standing over Ashley's body, just staring at all of her injuries when something caught his eye. Ashley's chest was moving. I mean, just barely, but he was certain that he saw it move. The officer completely loses it and starts screaming, she's breathing, she's breathing, get the EMTs here now. And EMTs rushed in, but because the woods were too dense for a stretcher, they had to use chainsaws to cut through the trees just to reach her. But despite how difficult that path was, they eventually got to her and they rushed her to a hospital where Ashley was placed in a medically induced coma. Her recovery took close to a full year because she had to relearn everything from the beginning. How to eat, how to drink, how to speak, how to hold her own head up, how to walk, how to use her hands. I cannot believe she survived that. Sam Shelton was arrested, charged, and sentenced to only 20 years in prison, but to this day, he has never said a single word of apology to Ashley or her family. And then in April of 2024, after serving only 17 out of those 20 years, Sam Shelton walked out of prison on parole.